huge whale. Welcome to another spoiler review episode.
Does evil come from within us or from beyond? Welcome to our spoiler special review with special guest Peter from New York, where we discuss the new horror film, the brilliant Nosferatu.
Well, after the Golden Globes last night, we're kind of like, where is Nosferatu going to land at the Oscars since it didn't make the nominations with the Golden Globes?
When is the Oscars? What month is it in?
February.
Late, mid-March, something like that.
Okay, so yeah, I'll have a different category of films, I guess. Just to preface this is the Nosferatu spoiler special, and we have previous guests, Peter joining us again from New York. Welcome.
Thank you.
I invited him on again because, to be fair, Peter, you know a lot about films, and you get a lot of films just before us, and I agree with most of your opinions. There's a few where I've gone, I like that when you hated it, but to go on Drew's point, you loved, we're going off topic straight away, but you loved Wicked, didn't you? Of the few recent films you've seen.
Granted, I saw it in IMAX, and maybe that's why, but the sound and everything just got me in there. I don't know what happened during the middle of that film, but I felt hypnotized at one point.
Really?
I was. I think it's going to corrupt Kev as well. Like, I think it's going to win over everyone, man.
We were joking last week that I'm not a fan of musicals, and then I'd watched 2 musicals that week and loved both of them. And so, yeah, I think there's a stigma with musicals where, I don't know, they don't feel as good of a film or as serious a film, but sometimes they emotionally grab you. Like La La Land, still epic film. Love that film. But
I think if you love La La Land, you're going to love Wicked, because I feel like the attention to detail in the songs is so captivating. Like Peter was saying, like it's just so well written. The lyrics are so catchy, and so are the tunes. Like it's incredible.
I just have no interest in that world, but we'll see. I'll watch it at some point.
This feels like misinformation for anyone going, this is the spoiler for Nosferatu, and people are like, but you're talking about Wicked right now.
It's the most polar opposite film.
Yeah, as you could tell.
Yeah, you couldn't get more opposite. So to go to your point before as well about IMAX, that's what annoys me about when people, like, no offense, James, who won't listen back to this anyway, but he sees a lot of films at home, and that's fine. Even newer ones, he would rather wait an extra few weeks and illegally download or stream than watch it at the cinema. And I think you're just missing a massive trick. Like, so I went to see Nosferatu this week, and the biggest thing that hits you in that film is the sound, the score, the surround. It's all encompassing. And that was my biggest takeaway. But let's not jump through it. We've all seen it, right? You've seen it.
No, just off the back of that, I was just going to say, and this is quite a bold statement, but it's probably the most atmospheric film I have ever seen.
It's all atmospheric.
Like, ever seen. On an atmosphere level, if you could just, grade atmosphere, it's like 10 out of 10.
And I think that's the strength of the actual film itself, is like you actually feel like you're back in the olden days, and here you are. Rats are on the streets.
Yeah.
You wear this kind of clothing. This is the vibe. You're going left and right. There was plagues. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how he knocked it out of the park, but I felt, like you guys are saying, submitted into this world that I could never visit, and I am there. The sound was immaculate. I saw it center of a theater, and I think it was best sound effects for the year, possibly. Like, it really just gets you. Even the wolves, when they're, like, following the carriage to the castle, just little things, visually or audio-wise. He just nailed it.
It felt like you'd hear the crunch of the snow, like their paws in the snow, and then like his footsteps crunching through snow. It was so atmospheric, man. I could hear it. I was blown away, and I was in the balcony because the cinema I went to, it was almost sold out, apart from 2 tickets. So I really lucked out. I didn't realize I was leaving it kind of lastminute.com. I thought, oh, well, people will just rock up and there'll be like half the cinema will be available for me to kind of just purchase a seat. But it was packed, and it was the most exciting atmosphere I've seen in ages, because we've been talking on Ragewell for ages about how most films we've seen, there's been about 4 to 8 people in the audience, and this was like packed out, a really atmospheric kind of picture house. It was like you could see like the arches of an original theater. It didn't have that kind of soulless quality of like the Odeon or Cineworld. It felt like going back in time. These red kind of chairs, and like everyone was just so excited. And as soon as the lights went down,
you're in an appropriate setting.
Yeah. But like Kevin was saying, like I feel like no matter where you stream and no matter what, like if you spent like thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds on like subwoofers and surround sound, you cannot touch a theater experience. Like, because also don't forget, you're sharing it with like 200 other people. So when there's a scary moment, it kind of ripples through the audience. Everyone goes, ah! It's like, it's such an exciting thing to like.
As long as everyone's adhering by the rules of shutting the fuck up, then, but reacting honestly. Then
True.
cool.
I did have a couple of girls next to me that kept laughing every now and then. I was like, it's not a
funny moments.
I don't get, I think they were just like so nervous for their own thing. They're like, it's that kind of laughter. And I was just like,
I noticed that with a lot of horror films, when the trailers are playing before the actual film starts, that's how you judge if people are nervous or excited. They're like, they get all giddy, they're talking, or even people just on their phones endlessly scrolling, even though there's a big screen in front of you. It's like they're just so nervous, or like their mind's locked out that they have to go somewhere else for a bit.
Well, yeah. When I went, because I went to the IMAX, and I've picked my seat. I'm very, what's the word? Proactive, anal, whatever you want to say. Like when a film's about to be released,
particular,
I book it a week or 2 weeks in advance, and I'll pick the middle seat. I know exactly. I've sat in a bunch in the center to get the best experience, and I now know exactly the one that I book every time. I get it every time, and no one ever. British etiquette: no one sits next to you. Everyone sits one seat away. You always get a gap, For Nosferatu,
typically. Yeah.
The toilet, there's rules, isn't there? You leave 2 toilets each side.
In the urinal, yeah. But I checked the phone. So as I'm driving to the cinema, I quickly check my phone to have a look at the seats to make sure how busy it is and where people have booked next to me, because I don't want to be near anyone. And 4 people were to my right and 2 people were to my left. I was like, are you kidding me? So I turned up, and there was like, I don't like to be at the back. I don't want to be at the front either. Middle. I want to get full vision. So I went 1 seat below, which I'd never normally do, but just so I could have no one near me. So I just moved seat randomly. But otherwise, the cinema was very, very busy from a certain row back. Then there was no one in front. But it was one of the busiest I've seen it in. I can't think of a film that was that busy this year. Full stop.
Well, guys, again,
much of a buzz in America. Sorry, Drew.
No, I was just going to say, was it how well advertised? Because I feel like I've seen lots of trailers for it here again. They did a really cool thing with trailers and like social media and all that jazz.
So I had a similar experience, Kevin, where I'm going, like I booked my tickets. I'm like, I should get them now. I feel the hype a little bit. And as I got closer, I'm looking again. I'm like, I have no choices now, but I got the ideal seats. Even the row, like usually at an AMC theater, that's like the major chain here in the States, they usually typically have, here's like step by step, and then you have the handicap valley, I call it, where you put handicap, vehicles and all that. But this right here, to me, is the last row where you don't have to bend your neck and you're just looking eye level. Yeah. So I typically always try to get that center. Now, it's funny, I had a similar situation, but at Megalopolis, of all movies, where it was completely empty, yet here's this old couple sitting next to me and my brother who went to see it, and like only 5 people in the whole theater, and here they are next to me. Like, maybe they didn't understand the map or how it worked, but I was like, of all movies? Really?
I'd always move just 1 seat. I always want 1 seat between me and someone else if I can.
I've gotten to a point where I have to wear a hoodie every time now, just because there's always that random person to the left or right busting out the phone for a second. But even if it's just for 2 seconds, that light could just be so
distracting
all of a sudden.
So you have your hood up.
I'm hood. Oh,
As
I'm like a
blinkers.
horse. Binders on the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Immersed.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
Center.
Like,
Booth. Yeah.
I think everyone was good when I saw it. Like, usually most people are good, but I'd say there's at least 40% of the time I go where there's a dickhead or two where rustling or putting lights on and whatever, and I'm very quick to shut that down. But not maybe it was because I was at the front. It's everyone was behind me. I didn't see any lights. I
Yeah.
didn't hear anything apart from like Drew was saying, the gasps. But to go into the film, I mean, everyone knows about the film. I mean, you were saying about how good he did. I'm sure everyone already knows this, but you know that Robert Eggers, obviously from Witch and The Lighthouse, which I loved, he did Nosferatu at school. Like, he put on a play or did a short film or about Nosferatu, and he's been obsessed with it since he was a teenager. So when we know he's done well, he's copied all the rules. You know, the shadow of the hand going over the town, and he's repeated the right things, but created his own kind of monster. And I think that's why, because I think he's been obsessed with it for like 20 odd years. So it's like his big passion project.
He also probably liked the mustache that Robert Patterson had in The Lighthouse and was like, hey, Nosferatu needs this. It worked for him. He was haunting.
Everyone's complaining about the mustache, and then there's like loads of memes going around. Why is everyone complaining? It's got a picture of all the Draculas and vampires, and like all of them have mustaches.
Is it me? Or I just thought he looked like a kind of Dr. Robotnik, but like an aging
Yeah.
film version.
Yeah.
I was just like, Sonic? Like, it was so surreal. I was just like, Robotnik, you're in the wrong film, dude. Like,
Did anyone see Bill Skarsgård in that film? I didn't see him in there.
Hmm.
Like, he
Where's
vanished.
Bill?
his performance was so good because I was really worried he was going to go into Pennywise territory, like, "Wah!" But he really nailed the the kind of vampire doctor, you know, that kind of like Count Dracula.
You heard he got
And the
training.
pace of how he delivered it.
Yeah.
Like, that was another thing too. Like, he had
Slow and
poise
awkward and
patience
jittery.
with it.
And with those creepy ass long fingers, were just like,
But Drew, did you hear how he did the voice? He got voice training from an opera singing coach who
wow,
taught him how to speak an octave below his lowest range.
what? That's
I
incredible.
was like,
Whoa.
God.
Yeah, it does sound like Count. Was it? You know, what's that? Is it Count Dracula? You know, from the Muppets or whatever it is.
Oh,
Oh, Sesame Street.
Sesame Street. Sesame
Count.
Street.
Yeah.
Oh,
He counts,
Christ,
yeah.
he's
well,
just the Count, isn't he? Isn't he? He's just the Count.
The
in
Count.
Sesame
It's
Street.
one hell of a
Oh,
count.
that would have been amazing advertising. Like, 1, 2, 3, the fourth Robert Edgers film.
That would have been amazing.
I know Disney would have sued their ass probably.
Or it's like, because he's the. Oh, no, he's not the Cookie Monster. I got confused. I thought Dracula had the cookies and then you could bite it a few times. Anyway, nah.
Oh, it's okay.
They're a fun company. They
I
would have gotten
personally
bored.
enjoyed the mustache. I thought it made it more authentic, like Transylvania, Hungary, that whole area. Like that was the look back in those days. Like,
As you
had
could
that
see
facial
from the
hair.
people when he went to that first village, when he was traveling on his way there, like all the people kind of looked like a young version of Nosferatu. They're all kind of like the big hair and the big moustaches and stuff like that. It kind of made sense.
He's their role model.
My right. So when I started watching this film, I get what's the word? I get a little bashful occasionally if I'm in public and there's something a bit sexy on screen. The intro was the best intro because it starts creepy, haunting, and it's a really good intro. And then obviously she just lies in the bed. It's a close up of her face. And then it does that jump scare. I almost looked away because I felt embarrassed by looking for so long. And then luckily I got that jump. Christ, the whole cinema freaked out. That was so good. I thought it was going to be one of those, the type of film it is, like a slow burn horror of atmosphere and creepiness. I didn't expect jumpy anything. So that intro shit me up. That was like, I was like fucking well done.
It was perfect how the silhouette of Nosferatu appears, like, and
Yeah.
going passively too. And it's like, he's here.
Yeah, it was almost like a magic trick though, but obviously it was probably CGI. But I love the way that they did it because it looks like it's happening for real, and that they got they work with magicians to go, right, we're going to do this. You're going to see the shadow, then you're going to duck behind something when it moves back, so it looks like you're gone. Like it was just incredible.
I want to watch some behind the scenes because I reckon it was all practical. I don't think.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like
Just
there's like
perception. It's just he was in a different part of the room. So because that
like a little box that he hides behind or something.
well, because that beginning scene, that was all a oneer. When you're looking at her looking up, it's the camera on its side, and then it moves, and she's actually been standing the whole time. It's a vertical bed.
Yeah.
Pull the bed away and make her walk, and then she then levitates. I don't know how they do that, but it's all kind of a oneer, which is great.
It was, but again, going down that road of like atmosphere, like he knows how to put you in the space where you feel like you are the characters every time. Like apart from when he wants you to feel like you're witnessing something, but he knows exactly where to put the camera to make you feel that exact moment.
He is a modern craftsman, I will say that. I remember seeing The Lighthouse. It was almost random, actually, to be honest with you. I remember like seeing the ads. It was in black and white. I'm like, well, this looks hauntingly different. And I went and saw it, and I was like, oh, okay. This guy knows how to make you feel like you're there. He knows how to make you feel creepy or haunted, one or the other. And when I saw The Northman, I was like, I knew this guy was going to keep delivering after I saw that one.
I've not seen The Northman. Is that
a TV series?
No, it was Robert Edgar's last film. It was his third film before Nosferatu.
Oh, okay.
And I want to say that was his first Focus Features, who also did Nosferatu. And it had a big budget for him after The Lighthouse. It was like $90 million they gave him. A lot of people had a lot of faith in him. Somehow in 2021, 2022, whenever this post-COVID release was, it somehow broke even for him. I don't know how, but it broke even. But that movie also gave me full faith that this guy was going to get nominated or something down the road. And Nosferatu clearly displays that he is a craftsman of our time. I also feel like I was more excited for the fact that it was a Robert Edgers film than it was Nosferatu, because I've honestly been a little fatigued with Dracula lately. We had Voyage of the Demeter, Renfield, Abigail. It was just almost a tsunami of vampire films all of a sudden. So I'm like, well, he hasn't failed me yet, so I'm going to be excited for this. And it delivered. You know, he really showed, like, this is my fourth film. I really have to pay attention to, everything more than ever. Like, he's definitely on the track to getting a nomination one day. And if not a winning movie.
He's
creative.
Day, like. It's someone that, no matter how much money you give him, he's still going to treat it like a creative experience rather than, oh, I've got 200 million, I'll just use CGI for everything. He won't do that unless it's appropriate for a scenario. Like, you said Northman was like a 90 million budget. I just checked. Nosferatu was only 50 million, which is quite low for something of that scale and that period. And it's already grossed over 100 in the first weekend. So it's a success, and that's only America. So it's done well over here, I presume, as well. But it just should. And did you know that he filmed it all in the daytime and then put filters over it to make it look night? To get that effect.
I was aware of the filters. I wasn't aware that it was all during the day. He also came out recently about how all the pets, even the wolves, are real in the film. So if you think they are fake, they're actually, I guess he used all real animals.
Yeah, the
real rats.
Yeah,
real rats. Yeah.
They did look like real rats. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I guess in response to that, Indiana Jones or Lucasfilm, whoever, unearthed a old interview of Harrison Ford from like Temple of Doom or Raiders of the Lost Ark, because he had to deal with rats too.
Yeah.
And he was all calm in his interview, Harrison Ford. He's like, yeah, I had 2 rats as pets when I was younger, and he's like petting it. I find them disgusting because I've gone to New York City quite a lot, and you see them at the garbage cans sometimes. at night, going into the sewers and all that. So they freak me out. But some people, they act like they're dogs sometimes, like normal pets.
Oh, I don't mind rats. Not in the wild because they're disgusting and carry
Yeah.
diseases.
Yeah.
But yeah, a pet rat, they're lovely, intelligent creatures. But yeah, we used to get them all the time. Well, Drew knows as well in the underground in London. They're all
Oh
over
yeah.
the place. But more of mice and smaller rats. We don't often
Well,
get
what
the big juicy ones.
I remember walking through Limehouse with my mate, and we thought we saw this cat that was trying to get through the letterbox, and we were like, "Oh, poor cat! Like it's been locked out by its owners." and then as we got closer, we realized it was a rat trying to get into somebody's house, and we're like, "Oh!" And then it just scuttled, and then just went straight down the sewers, and we're like, "Oh!" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm not down with that." And I was like, "That was quite scary." It's like the film The Witches, the Roald Dahl film, where you see the cute little rats and like they're really, you fall in love with the rats, right? For that. But in other kind of circumstances, it is a little bit scary for sure.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if it was a rumor or actually true, but I think there was some kind of vegan committee that was actually upset about Robert Eggers using all the rats and making them look like
Oh, really?
like bad objects for society. I could have been a rumor, but I remember seeing like a headline one day and I was like, "Are
But
you kidding me?" Like
that's idiot
he's actually
vegans.
using them.
They're
Like,
clearly safe and they've got animal handlers and nothing will ever happen to them. It's all safe and like you can't, especially in today's world, like Indiana Jones world, they probably stood on some things
I
and
bet they did stand on something. You can hear it. And there's a
killed
bit
some
where
spiders and shit.
Harrison almost crushes one of them, I think. And it's like,
Yeah, there's no way that could happen now because there was one scene when he was about to burn the crypt
yeah,
and the rats are everywhere and the camera pans up away from the feet and then you see Willem Dafoe kicking some rats but you don't see it because the feet are off the screen so clearly there was no rats there so
yeah.
or the
the
core
lighting too in that scene with the color when he lights up everything and the fire and the brims, like it's just a crazy scene inside the what do they call those mortiferums? I think, or where they
I
have the
don't know.
multiple. What?
I don't know what the Colosseum thing but not Colosseum
Yeah, where you have like a family of dead people. I forget what they're
Yeah,
called.
yeah.
Mausoleum
That's it.
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum
Yep.
not a mausoleum not museum
Muesli, that's the stuff you have for cereal, right?
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying, Peter, real briefly though. Actually, I think both of you were saying it. Even though this is his fourth film, when you're watching it, it feels like his first film. It feels like he's just been given the gig because that's how serious he is, that's how committed he is, and that's how passionate he is. Every frame for me, I was like, you could just imagine him behind the camera, just like looking back at the rushes and being like, yeah, a little to your left, boom. And it's like the symmetricality of the shots or the way that the characters are center frame with everything else going on. And if you pause it, every single picture looks stunning. Like even though, no matter how dark it is, like there's a bit where Nicholas Holt's character gets out of the carriage and he's walking towards something, but it's completely dark apart from the snow falling. And I think you can see the snow caught around the rim of his hat. And you could just see this kind of silhouette of him and the snow falling. And you're like, this is just like stunning. Like the cinematographer on this, like this has got to go up for like best picture, like best cinematography. Like it could really, I
it's
hope
just annoying that horrors don't do well. Like I think Peter, you said on Instagram, like we all knew or hoped that Demi Moore would win for The Substance, but it wasn't going to get a look in for film, even though it deserved it, because it's not what the majority of people want or like, even though it was one of the best, if not the best.
Yeah, and like
film.
I've told people in the past, fine horror will prevail in the nomination world. You gotta realize Rosemary's Baby got nominated, The Exorcist got nominated, Silence of the Lambs wound up winning. The problem is, it's all about the year sometimes. Who else is out? You know, it has to be fine, top tier to begin with in horror.
But the problem
and
is
then you have to worry about who else is out this year.
What was the category The Substance was in? Musical or comedy?
Comedy and musical.
Me? It's the same joke that you guys over there in America as well about what comedy is. I think someone in in America who judges things doesn't have a fucking clue because The Bear
No, they
is really
don't.
comedy. And
Well, to me, the Golden Globes is the budget version of the Oscars.
yeah,
So it's like a little preview. You
but
might
The
have
Bear
some that are
keeps
going to be
winning on the
identical
TV
winners,
series.
but some are not.
And Jeremy Allen White won again yesterday for the best actor in a comedy series. And it's
Yep.
like, yes, he's phenomenal, and he should win in a drama, not in a comedy. It's not funny. It's
Mhm.
there's some comical moments, but it's not an all outright comedy, you know.
To answer your question, though, about Americans judging it as comedy or musical.
Oh, we're just as useless. It was just a flippant
No,
comment.
no. Because when I saw the substance,
the USA.
no, because when I saw the substance, there was one girl in the audience who was like, "Oh God, oh God, oh God," like out loud, like she couldn't believe what she was watching, and I was like, "Okay," and then she stopped doing it.
Yeah, you don't get that in England.
Wow.
It's kind of fine, but if like I'm probably one of the few that will say something like when I saw It Ends With Us with my girlfriend, someone brought like a 10-year-old or a 6-year-old with them. And it's not even that kind of movie you could bring a kid to watch.
No.
And I remember they're just talking baby talk at one point, and I was like, "We paid money," and then all of a sudden they stopped.
I like the subtleties. I love the subtleties, Peter. I love it.
You gotta be neutral and like have a valid point, and that's my valid point every time. I paid money.
That's got to be like a 15 at least, because it's about emotional. Isn't it about rape or
abuse?
Yeah. Coercion and stuff like that. Yeah, bring your 10-year-old to that. That will traumatize them for life.
I think it was still PG-13, but it's like you don't bring a kid to something with these topics. Like
that's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah. But for me, one more remark about Americans thinking it's funny. Well, I'm probably that one random person who was laughing at certain scenes in The Substance, though.
I agree, but it's
like,
not a comedy. I'm laughing because it's wild, because it's got the audacity to go that level and that extreme silliness in its horror. Like the horror elements weren't even that scary. The horror elements were, I suppose, yes, comical, but it's not funny. It's just so over the top.
That's sorry, Pete. I know you want to say sorry.
No worries.
That's how I felt with Terrifier 3. When he is decorating the Christmas tree with intestines, I laughed because I was like, I could not believe the cheek and the kind of stylistic choice. Most people use tinsel. He's using intestines. Sure, there's a T in there somewhere, but you're like,
I don't find those films scary because I'm just in awe of the way they create them and how they can do it, and the prosthetics and the lack of CGI, the actual artistry in those films. I think this is hilarious because you can't take it for real, because otherwise you'd go and cry and kill yourself.
Yeah.
Someone's demented enough to do this, but it's just a fun guy being a bit funny, and he's taking it tongue in cheek, you know.
But I wonder though. Here's the thing, because I'd love to read the screenplay of Terrifier 3, to be honest, because I wonder if it was David. Is it David?
Interesting read.
David Howard. What's his name? David Howard.
David Howard Thornton. Man walks over here, gets disemboweled. Other man walks over here, gets dismembered.
Well, no. But I'm thinking, I wonder if it either says, Art the clown decorates tree with intestines, or it was just the actor was like, and he just decided to start doing something in the moment because I imagine he's very good.
I think that was scripted. It's a Christmas thing, and he's going to decorate the tree. So he's going to put a head on the top. He's going to what's long and stringy you can wrap around a tree of a human body. It's the only thing, isn't it?
I will say this: since Terrifier 3 was the last time I talked to you in this kind of realm, was I definitely walked away from Nosferatu with a bigger impression. Going back to atmosphere, it definitely left a mark on me more. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm planning to see it again for sure.
Nice.
I hope to see it in IMAX, but in America, at least near me, it's only at 10 p.m. the IMAX. And that's a little late for me personally, for movies in general. Not just because it's Nosferatu. It's hard for me to watch films after 9, usually.
That's late, yeah.
I'm
We're
still
of an
upset.
age where that's not cool now anymore.
I'm still upset that there's only like 2 screenings of it in places. Like, you know, like when you see like I don't know. I think we were talking about like Despicable Me. There's like 10 showings in the day,
Yeah.
and then you've got really artistic, kind of really profound and exciting films like Nosferatu. But it's like, yeah, you can watch it at 2:10 or 7:00. You're like, what? Where's my other choices, man? Like, it's frustrating because it just doesn't have the same opportunities as some of these other more kind of, what's the word?
Blockbusters?
I mean, Despicable Me doesn't. I don't think of blockbuster. I just think of like.
You're talking about very specific things to you. I don't see that because I've got a big Cineworld near me. The IMAX is showing all day long. I can go.
Really?
I can go see Sonic 3 in IMAX in the morning, Nosferatu IMAX in the afternoon, and something else in the evening. I've got a big cinema by me.
He's got a big cinema by him. No, but hear me out.
I see one film every 2 months.
I got 2 IMAXs and they're playing at 10.
I only watch IMAX. There's only a few films that don't come out in IMAX, but everything I will always choose IMAX. 100%.
I have a big building site around the corner from me, which used to be an Odeon. So
you need to get you need to get that fixed. Hurry up.
I know. Yeah, I'm half tempted to learn how to become a builder and go down there and fix it myself because I'm like, guys, 1, this is costing me money. 2, this is costing me time, and I miss being able to just immerse myself in movies. So,
anyway, to go back to Nosferatu as well, then. So
yeah, let's go back to Nosferatu.
We have talked about the film and the atmosphere and the sound, which is epic. But when you talk about the actual individual performances, I think Lily Rose Depp has not been anything I would have cared about until this film. Oscar, over Demi Moore, Oscar. Like her.
Technically, you're right. Yes.
I mean, I love Demi Moore, and I think she's going to get it because she's Demi Moore and she deserves it. And it's been a long time coming, but Lily Rose Depp, she's definitely on the map now. She's now someone I care about that I've never cared about before. But when she's getting possessed, that is insane. Everything she did, incredible.
I think she locked the audience and us more than Nosferatu did is the funny part, in my opinion. Like, she carried the film.
100%.
Like, Bill, William, Holt, they were all great, but she just blew them all out of the park.
Well, that's it. When you've got really incredible actors, like people like Willem Dafoe, you think, well, Willem Dafoe's in it. No one else is going to be better than him, obviously, because it's Willem Dafoe. And at the end of it, you go, Willem Dafoe's in that film. Oh, yeah, so he was. But it's all Lily Rose Depp. And to be honest, Nicholas Holt, his fear face is the greatest it's ever happened, ever. I've never
feel like he's really sweating in those scenes.
I've never been more scared not seeing a thing.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is he seeing?
If you could give an Oscar for a fear face.
I don't get scared at horrors. I welcome them. But I was like, oh, what's happening? What's going to happen? Oh, what's going to happen? And the beauty is you still don't see much. It keeps the terror, building and building and building. Which is
almost like the famous Jaws thing, isn't it? You don't really see Nosferatu till much, much later on. He's just in the shadows and just like long fingers lighting candles and talking really scary. But it's like he it's that thing that you were saying that it's I can't remember what I was going to say. I just completely lost. Lost track of what
it was that good, Drew.
I would say good that my brain just went.
If we keep talking, you'll probably
He's already
remember.
talking to you, Nosferatu.
Yeah. No. I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, no, that was it. Sorry. The psychological elements of the film is one of the things I absolutely loved because you don't know if some things are happening or if they're not happening. Because you know, like when characters get ill, they start to fantasize or they have like flashes or like. The point
is he comes in dreams, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
And,
so like,
and in his darkness that creates the plague. The plague is because of him. He creates.
Yeah. But also, I mean about like the bit where there's the naked woman on the horse and she's going towards the cave and they're going to see the vampires and then
That
like
happens.
he's there like for some reason stood there like no, don't do it, and then it jump cuts to him waking up in a massive sweat and he's like unwell and it's like he's caught, it's like he's got like the flu or something, but then
That
you see his
100%
shoes.
happens. They're digging up a vampire and stabbing it in the heart.
Yeah. But then you see his shoes. I was going to say, and they're covered in mud. Like he's still wearing his shoes in bed for some reason. Why don't you take your shoes off, man?
Oh, you mean when you watched it, you were confused until you saw the muddy boots, and you're like, oh,
Yeah, kind of. But then I was thinking, what is he doing out there anyway? Like, why wasn't he at home? Anyway, it's past his bedtime.
He was traveling.
It was every little element of his character. It was like he was getting ill through the presence of Nosferatu, but also like because he signed away his soul. But it was like all these different elements. And then when you saw like the flashes to the guy drinking his literally from him, that bit was really fucking scary, man. And he's like there on the bed, and the guy's drinking from him. He's like, ah! And then I think the church managed to heal him or something. Because at one point, the only bit I wish, and I've never seen the original, so I maybe I should watch that to compare it. But I was really hoping for other people to turn. That's what I really wanted. I really wanted a bit more of an arc for Nicholas Holt's character. I wanted him to turn. And then there would have been this really cool moment where he comes back and he loves her, but it's like he's got that kind of darkness in him, and he's going to start killing people. Maybe he killed a few of his close friends, and it's a bit...
That's the point of Nosferatu, like James mentioned last week, is that they stole Dracula and redid it, but they changed enough of it so it wouldn't be the same as Dracula, and then they got it banned, didn't they? And they had to burn all the copies, and one copy remained. So Nosferatu is a cheap rip-off of Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is Nosferatu's doing all the work. Like him and Lily are doing all the work, and everyone else is just...
It's got all the same points as Dracula. Like Nicholas Hoult playing Renfield technically twice, because he is the estate agent that is Renfield in Renfield, basically.
Wow,
But it doesn't go as far. He just goes, like you said, he goes ill rather than turning into a vampire. It was
I was so hoping he was going to be called Renfield again, just because it came out like last year or 2 years ago. Like, again? He's back? Okay.
It's the
part two.
Oh, but
I love Renfield. I don't care what anyone says.
Renfield was amazing.
I need to see that.
I need to see that sequence where he's fighting people in that outside motel or whatever, where he's taking people's limbs off and beating them.
Oh, in Renfield, yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of limb going on in this episode. Lots of limbs.
But
we're going off on a limb.
More than I was anticipating in Renfield, but it was purely a comedy, though. But you have to be one of those people who enjoy Terrifier, I think, to like Renfield as well. Like, you have to love the audacity or the boldness of it to begin with.
I loved every moment. I don't think anyone saw the same film if they didn't like it. It's not meant to be serious. It's just fun and a bit gory. But I was going to say on Nosferatu as well, like apart from that, well, I guess the three main headliners, Lily Rose Depp, Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgård, but it's like what's his face? Colin Farrell on The Penguin. Didn't see Colin Farrell on that program once.
Yeah.
Sound, look, act, mannerism, nothing like he morphed, and Bill Skarsgård did the same as Count Orlok. But also the other two people that stood out for me was Ralph Ineson, the doctor guy.
Oh, he was brilliant. Yeah.
Like from British comedies. He was in the original Office. He's the dickhead.
Oh, no, I thought he was in Line of Fire.
Ralph Ineson.
Oh, the guy from The Witch.
He's in Line of Duty, not Line of Fire. He's in Line of Duty.
Yeah, he's in a million things. He was in The Witch as well.
He was
he's in The First Omen. He's
phenomenal.
He's small part in loads of films. But I would say Simon McBurney, if you remember
the guy that eats the pigeon.
The guy that eats the pigeon and is going insane.
Yeah.
Wow. He was similar to Lily Rose Depp in his extremities. It was so good.
I just wanted to say, like, in the trailer, you know when there's the naked dude with all the candles? I thought that was going to be Bill Skarsgård. I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah.
That was a cool
I thought that was Nosferatu, too.
That was a cool little twist, because I thought that was like Nosferatu just, like, waiting to get dressed, like, in his candles and wax and stuff, doing some weird shit. But it was like, when it was him, I'm like, what? That's the estate agent dude. Like, there's just,
Speaking of naked, I did think that was one of the best scenes in the film, though, is when Nicholas Hoult unravels the coffin, and here he is naked, like Nosferatu coming out and about to get him. Like, that was intense, I thought. I was like, Whoa.
I
Okay,
think
this got crazy all of a
There's
sudden.
nothing scarier than a vampire that's bollock naked chasing you. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
well, have
Full
you seen the
frontal.
picture of Nicholas Hoult?
you're going to get the point. You're like, ooh.
Have you seen Nicholas Holt's got Bill Skarsgård's penis in a frame?
Yes.
Count Orlok's penis, his prosthetic penis. They framed it, and it's in a
You can imagine behind the scenes they're hitting each other with that. What's that called? Where you
mix that.
soldiers used to do it to each other. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway,
Who used to do that to you?
not to me. I said the soldiers. I wasn't in the army. The soldiers used to do it to each other.
Drew, you've definitely been dick slapped. I know you have.
Jesus. Jesus. He knows. He knows the terminology. No, it's in a play called Black Watch or something. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway.
But even the scene where later on in the film or towards the finale where they think they have Orlok in his coffin, that's still another creepy scene too, where the crazy guy is like in the coffin.
Yeah.
And like you're like nervous, like what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They changed a few things from vampire lore because they've not discussed anything that we know from the Dracula and vampires about steaks or garlic or whatever. It's only sunlight, because the steak thing, he makes the point of saying, I'm going to put a steel thing through him. And obviously vampires, it's meant to be a wooden stake, isn't it?
Yep.
Steel, I don't think it works for some. I don't know. But in this film, they make sure that they're saying the vampire thing, but with a twist. They're trying to keep it that way. But I did
like how they built it up for William Dafoe's introduction, though, because now he's this is his third film with Robert Edgar, so now he's like his Sam Jackson, his Leonardo DiCaprio in his pocket.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, oh, I got to give him a big intro now. And it's like, oh, we got to meet him. Oh, who? It's like the wizard. It's like, oh, and here's William Dafoe drunk.
Great.
He was great. I did think Aaron Taylor Johnson and Emma Corrin were the two weakest parts.
Yeah.
They weren't bad, but I think Emma Corrin trying to be terrified, and she's an acclaimed actor. She is incredible as an actor, but she took me out of it a little bit. It was very drama student acting when she was doing when she was being scared, which I feel.
Was that when she was getting eaten by all the rats?
Yeah, she's like,
yeah, it was a bit try hard for me.
Yeah.
I felt it.
I thought so too.
I felt like they just didn't have much to do. Like I was really excited to see Aaron Taylor Johnson in a kind of like vampire-esque film, but it felt like he was in his own film, if that makes any sense. It felt like he joined Nosferatu when his character's drunk and potentially about to sleep with his dead wife and burn it all down or something.
Craven the Vampire Hunter. It was, it was still good. It just wasn't. I like him and I want him to do well. And I'm gunning for him.
Me too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, he was brilliant in Kick-Ass and all that kind of stuff. That's why I was saying
it wasn't quite his role, but it was still good. But the scene, I completely forgot the scene where Nosferatu kills the children.
Whoa! Yeah,
we don't see it, but we see it, and that wasn't enough. I don't think we need blood and guts for it to be scary. That was scarier than seeing blood and guts, I thought.
It was also dark because he went there, and you see the kids at the beginning. There was like a kind of plant and payoff because they're like, "Mummy, Daddy, there's a monster," and he's like, "Oh, don't be silly." And it's like, "No, there's a monster, man. Like, it's gonna kill us." Like, and then it really does.
Well, because Lily Rose Depp invited it into the house, basically allowed it to come into their home.
I forgot the actress's name, who the parent of the two kids in the movie. I forgot her name.
Emma Corrin.
I thought he casted her just because she looks like Anya Taylor-Joy, and he used her in all his other films.
She was meant to be in it. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
Oh, where did I see it? It was meant to be Anya Taylor-Joy, but Anya Taylor-Joy was meant to be playing Lily Rose Depp's part.
Oh.
And it wasn't meant to be Nicholas Hoult. It was meant to be. I should have written this down.
It was not Austin Butler. It was someone else, though, famous.
It was someone who had another film they were doing and couldn't do it. Oh, that's going to annoy me now.
I think it worked out, though. I'm pleasantly happy with the cast, the atmosphere, the vibes, and like I said, I had fatigue about Nosferatu, or just Dracula in general, before seeing this film. but I had faith that Edgar's was going to deliver, and he did. And I saw Bram Stoker's Dracula for the first time last year, that 1993 one that
Oh
Francis
yeah.
Ford Coppola did. And I saw that on the big screen. And I'm not going to lie, I feel like they're kind of tied. They're just different vibes.
As in like Keanu Reeves, that sort of thing.
That one, yeah, that Dracula. To me, that's the best. Up to Nosferatu, I thought that was the best. But this almost, I got to see it again. I almost feel like it's tied.
I think that Dracula film was one of the best, 100%. What's his face? Who's the main guy in it? Who's Dracula? What's his name?
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
Keanu Reeves, isn't it?
Yeah,
We just
he's
said that, yeah.
Renfield.
A really young Keanu Reeves, yeah.
Yeah.
He just graduated the high school in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure before that one. He was a young buck.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
it's just after Speed as well, isn't it?
Just in that early 90s Renaissance era he was in.
Dracula, 1992. Speed was 94. And Point Break, we discussed the other week, was 92 as well. So he did Point Break and Dracula. So these were his big films then.
Yeah, that was his beginning. It's just crazy seeing Keanu having this resurgence again now. He's having like another wave, then another wave, then another wave. He's had like 3 waves now, I feel like. Like he had The Matrix reborn him. That was the first wave, I felt like, of him getting like a boost in his career. And then the John Wick legacy, I don't know what happened. He just blew up again in the last 5 years with that whole saga.
I'm loving the older actors that are coming back because it is nostalgia for us who grew up with them and then they disappeared or they stopped being as popular. So yeah, I'm enjoying things like him coming back, and Jim Carrey coming back as well. People like that disappeared for a while or stopped acting, and isn't it weird that he stopped acting and went, yeah, I'll do the silly children's program. Yeah, I'll do Sonic. Like,
I always question the Jim Carrey one because I felt like he did attempt a Tom Hanks career where he had a bunch of comedies and then he tried to do in the dramas like Eternal Sunshine, The Truman Show. It didn't really pan out. He did get noms, but he didn't win anything. Then he kind of just became a visual artist, I feel like. I think that's all his time goes to now, and I feel like if he does Sonic, I think he just needs to pay the maids and butlers. Once that's it, It's like the Rolling Stones. They still tour because of property taxes and all their relatives have butlers, It's like it's not cheap keeping up a mansion. I've lived in a penthouse once just because of the roommate that I had. And they would get all the service done. And I'm like, wow, this is why artists still tour because you got to take care of the property. It's not like it takes care of itself.
That's like Elvis. Elvis was like the richest man on earth, but he had to keep working to be able to pay his friends who looked after him and stayed by him and stuff like that.
And people screwed him over. That's a sad story in itself because he was like one of the first to be commercial success, like the Beatles or Led Zeppelin, like at that level. And I don't think his manager or anyone knew about how to do the financing. And his dad, I think, took a lot of his money too. I think Elvis.
Yeah. He just took the money and did nothing.
Yeah, he had kind of a sad life, I would say. Towards the end, for sure. I guess I do have to go in like 5 minutes, just as a heads up.
I was going to say we should wrap up because.
I was just going to say in this last 5, what were your thoughts on the story though? Like as amazing as Nosferatu was, I don't know. I was a little bit underwhelmed with the story. What were your thoughts?
I mean, it was expected. I've seen the original Nosferatu. I've seen a million Draculas. The only difference between Dracula and Nosferatu, in my opinion, is there's no plague in Dracula, and Dracula has more of a role as a human in this actual story. Like, he goes to an opera in England, he talks to people, he socializes. Yeah. Nosferatu is just like, I'm on my own world. I'll haunt you when I feel like haunting.
Well, I think the Dracula vampire thing, the exciting thing about those films is that Dracula, like you say, is human, can interact, so he's got more of a part to play. And then when he turns, it's terrifying. But also, he can turn people into vampires, so you end up getting loads of other vicious little fuckers going around. And they go into bats, they fly around, loads of crazy shit happens, and then all sorts of chaos can happen, and it's quite sexy as well. It's usually seducing people and stuff like that. Whereas Nosferatu it's more about he cannot do anything until he gets permission. So he seduces one person, he spends his whole time stalking them and demolishing everything around them so they'll submit to him. And then he can, I assume if he mated with her or whatever, he would rejuvenate to a younger man, less of a corpse. I'm assuming that was the point.
And then he could get rid of his moustache.
Oh, he would have little tweaks at the end,
Yeah,
make it stylish, make it modern.
The little
He
whiskers
looked like
going.
Dali instead.
Yeah.
What did you think of the final scene, guys, where he's actually laying on top of her?
That was
Pretty gross.
awkward.
Did-
That felt like
iconic, I would say. Yeah.
that felt like a bit Guillermo del Toro kind of vibe. Like it was a bit like, whoa.
Well, Robert Eggers
going.
says that if you pay attention to that scene, I did, but I didn't notice everything. He goes, we pumped him through it full of loads of stuff so they would ooze out of loads of little holes.
Yeah, I could see that.
He goes, we also made him shit himself if you watch closely.
Wow.
There's a little of shit at the end
Oh.
when they're zooming out.
Yeah, but I mean, his
"Yeah,
blood, like
Yeah.
blood comes out of his eyes, his nose, his
that was
mouth,
good."
which is symbolic again of what she has. She has that weird vision. Do you remember where she goes,
Yeah.
and it's like there's some very clever,
Mhm.
like what was it symbolic and kind of like plants and payoffs to different things. Like
I thought it was great. Yeah, it did end like go, oh, it's ended. Oh,
yeah,
we could have done something bigger, but I still loved it.
The original Nosferatu is like that too. It ends the same way, and you're like, "Oh, wait, there's not more." But
Yeah.
you know, it kind of is what it is.
You know, you've got like Dracula fatigue this year, last year. This year, you're gonna have probably Frankenstein fatigue because there's 2 Frankenstein films coming out.
There's 2.
Yeah. There's the one with
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, which is the director is
Oh God, yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal's sister, Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I didn't know
it's meant
about
to be
this.
more actiony, not action, but like fun. They've described it. Some people have described it as not cyberpunk, steampunk, like
Yeah.
Furiosa meets Frankenstein, and then you've got Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein with Jacob Elordi,
Yes.
and that's going to be more creepy and haunting, I'm guessing.
I
But
think
they're
Mia
trying to bring
Goth is the wife character in that too, or Mrs. Frankenstein. I think she's
Mia
gonna be like
Goth.
the wife.
Yes, yeah, Mia Goth. Yeah, and Mia Goth said the other day that she loves cinema so much, and you can tell. Mia Goth is one of my favorite actors. She's so cool. But she goes, I was on set every day that I was not acting, and I was just following Guillermo. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Guillermo del Toro. Just follow him around all day, just learning and absorbing his magic and learning from him. So I'm sure she'll direct at one point.
I will say, I mean, I am excited for that one in particular. It's been a while since we had a Frankenstein, but yeah, I am purely excited for that one. I kind of felt like Universal was due to relaunch the whole monster universe.
That's the plan.
I feel like they had a lot of opportunities, but I feel like they've done so many now where people are not going to be as enticed to like, all right, another one? Like,
well, they're doing, the Wolfman's coming out in a couple of weeks.
yes.
That looks cool.
That is the beginning of that again, like what Tom Cruise tried to do with The Mummy and failed.
Yeah.
This is part of that cinematic universe they're trying to build of monsters. So I don't know if one of those other Frankensteins are part of that. I don't know. And I kind of got the impression that Abigail was meant to be part of that as well, because the end of Abigail is setting up that, there's a bigger vampire or there's a Dracula at the end. It's kind
There's
of
a Nosferatu.
Yeah, well, Abigail is terrifying.
He did look like Nosferatu.
Well, Abigail is, for a fun comedy, she's technically very terrifying, and she causes so much. She demolishes everyone, and there's blood everywhere, and she's just a tiny little girl in a tutu. And then when the sun comes up, her dad walks in. She's like terrified of her dad, and you realize that the dad is big vampire or Dracula.
Big Daddy.
Or he's got someone. Yeah, it's like they're setting up an Abigail too, or to be part of something else. So
I did hear, I forget what the actress's name, the little girl, but I think she's
Brilliant.
supposed to be Dorothy in the next Wicked.
What?
No way.
That's cool.
which would be kind of cool for her. But yeah, she's kind of setting herself up. Like, she was really good in Abigail, all things considered, for that kind of movie. I think she has a lot more going on in the future.
It's Alicia Weir, and she's the little girl in Wicked Little Letters. If you've seen that British comedy,
I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it.
I implore you to watch it. It's really funny.
The one
She
on the
looked
right,
funny. I saw the trailer.
the one on the right is in the Maggie Gyllenhaal's.
Jessie Buckley. Yeah,
Jessie Buckley. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Olivia Colman. But she's but the little girl's famous mainly for Matilda the musical.
Yep.
She's like a singer and dancer, which is why I should pick for Abigail, because she does lots of
Dancing.
basically, yeah. Well, that's it. While she's slaughtering people and ripping people's throats out, she's doing little ballet dances, and she did them for real. There's a scene in Abigail, I don't know if you remember, on a banister, on the landing of a stairwell, like a thin banister, and she does a little pirouette thing. She did that. That was a stunt. She did that for real. Obviously, there were people there to grab her if she fell, but she did it.
That's cool.
For like a 10-year-old, that's quite impressive.
Anyway, she's gonna go far, man. She's gonna go.
We should wrap this up. We've taken up your 30 minutes by doubling.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right. I just gotta get back to work. It's like 2:30 over here. Yeah, so it's my lunch today.
Peter, we love when you join us, man. Thank you so much.
I love it. I love these. These are fun for me. I actually had like a very tense morning, but these always relax me. I've noticed.
Well, we'll do another one. We'll maybe do it monthly or something like that, or whenever you see something excites you that we've got in a similar time, then we'll have a chat.
If one of us see the Brutalist, maybe. We're still waiting for it.
Let's do it. I'd love to. Yeah, I can't wait.
Amazing. All right. Well,
to Kevin, always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for listening to this, and catch us later in the week for the next episode.
Thank you. Right on, gentlemen. Drew, rock on. Yeah.
Too,
Kevin, have a good one.
Thanks again, Peter.
Cheers, pal.
This has been Rage Whale. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you had a whale of a time.